What's going on, guys? Austin here, and in this video, we are going to be taking a look at what my playoff predictions would look like if my regular season predictions came true, which, as we know, very close. It's going to happen, so this is about what the playoffs are going to look like. Last year, in my preseason, I picked the Super Bowl champs, so let's see if I can't do it again. In the NFC and the AFC, these are the standings, 1 through 7. So we can already tell what the playoffs would look like if this happened. So without further ado, let's get started. In the NFC, we have the Rams on a bye. They're starting off. Last year, they were in contention for a bye. They just couldn't beat out Green Bay. They went on a 3-game losing streak. That last game, it went, Tennessee, San Fran, and then the Packers. If they could have beaten the Packers, there would have been a great chance that they could have gained ground on them for the lead, but neither here nor there. I think they're a better team this year than they were last year. The only question for them is, can they stay healthy? You know, if Aaron Donald goes down, if Jalen Ramsey goes down, if Cooper Kupp goes down, or Matthew Stafford goes down, they don't have incredible depth. What they have is incredible star power. So Rams at the number 1. Packers, this game, number 2 Packers, they're going to beat the number 7 seed Commanders. I don't think there's any controversy there. The number 3 Saints over the 6-seeded 49ers. Now, that one might seem a little wild because a lot of people think that the 49ers might win the division this year. The NFC West hasn't had a lot of back-to-back division champions, but with the Saints being as good as I believe they're going to be, I think they're going to win this playoff game just fine. I like the 49ers, but their problem is, once you get to the playoffs, if Trey Lance has had, kind of a shaky season, but the overall roster has gotten you there, do you stick with Trey? Do you go to Jimmy? I think there's going to be a little bit division in the locker room because guys are going to want to win that game. And so what I think the Saints are just too cohesive, too balanced on offense. They're going to win this game. And then this was probably my hardest game to pick overall. The Eagles over the Vikings. I love the Vikings. I love Kirk Cousins. He's an excellent quarterback. And the Vikings have an amazing set of offensive weapons, but I think the Eagles just have this knockout power in their depth at running back, and now their array of weapons between Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. Their offensive line is good. Their defense, it was good, but now it's markedly improved. They probably have the best combination of offensive and defensive line in the NFL. It's just really the question surrounding Jalen Hurts is, can he move to that next level of quarterback play? And I think he can get close enough to win this playoff game. Then in the divisional round, I've got the Rams over the Eagles. That one shouldn't be too controversial. I know I just talked about how good the Eagles were, but let's be real here. The Rams are the Rams. They're not going to lose this game. And then I have the number 2 seed Packers over the number 3 seed Saints. I really liked the Saints in this matchup, but I just couldn't bring myself to pick against how good I think the Packers defense is going to be and how spread out Aaron Rodgers is going to have to throw the ball. And then in the NFC Championship game, I've got the Rams beating the Packers. I could easily see it going either way. The two of the best quarterbacks of the last 10 years, really. I mean, it's basically, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Drew Brees and Matthew Stafford. Those are the 5 best quarterbacks over the last 10 years, collectively, at least. And so I've got the Rams winning this game. I think they have too many star players. The Packers have maybe the best roster overall in the NFL because they're going to have one of the best secondaries. They're going to have one of the best overall front sevens. They have one of the best offensive lines. They have one of the best running back groups. They have, arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. The only question with them is, their pass catchers. How good can they be? And I think the Rams just have, arguably best quarterback in the league. The Rams have arguably the best wide receiver in the league, arguably not only the best defensive player in the NFL, but the best defensive player at every level, the line, the linebackers, and the secondary in the NFL. They have one of the best coaches in the NFL. And so I believe that the star power is going to overpower here in this situation, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers ended up back in the Super Bowl. And then in the AFC, we're switching. We've got the Ravens on a bye. We all know how good Lamar can be whenever he plays. He's got one of the highest winning percentages and the most wins for any quarterback at his age, actually the most for any quarterback his age. The number 2 Bills over the 7-seeded Bengals. So the Bills, get that chance at that AFC title shot that they were, 13 seconds away from having last year. I don't think anybody really would have argued that the Bills were going to beat the Bengals. It's just the Bengals kind of had the Chiefs number. Really, the Bengals just had the swagger, and the Chiefs are just they're not a very buttoned up team. They never really have been. And the Bengals were, and the Bengals took advantage of that. I think the Bills, any game that they have a chance to take over, anytime that they're better than their opponent, they are absolutely going to dominate them. And because they're better here, markedly better, I think they're just going to dominate that game. Here's where it gets a little controversial. If you remember, Cleveland was one of the teams that I had in the playoffs, and I have them beating the Chiefs in the wild card round in Kansas City. I believe that Deshaun Watson has an argument to be the best quarterback in the NFL. He's on a short list of about 4 or 5 guys that I think have that ability to say that. And they've got a better offensive line. They've got a better running game. They've got a better singular wide receiver 1, although their weapons aren't anywhere near as good as Cleveland or as Kansas City's are. They have the better pass rusher, and they have the better defensive back. And so all things considered, I think Deshaun, with the best roster he's ever had, and it's crazy, this isn't even the best Cleveland roster we've seen in the last 3 years. The last 2 years were markedly better than this one. But with the best roster that Deshaun has ever had, I believe he finally gets over the hump and wins his first playoff game. And then I've got the number 5-seeded Chargers over the 4-seeded Titans. I don't think that one's very crazy. The Titans are a good team. But remember, they lost last year in the first round after sacking Joe Burrow 9 times. I don't think there's a chance that they can take on the Chargers. Then in the divisional round, I've got the Ravens beating the Browns. To me, I understand the controversy surrounding Deshaun Watson. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL, so it was very hard to pick him to lose this game. I just think Lamar and the Ravens are just too good to be beaten by, a 6 seed, even if it is a 6 seed that played 11 games without their starting quarterback. I've got the number 2 seed Bills over the 5-seed Chargers. So in both conferences, I have the 1 and 2 seed, making it to the conference championship. So that's a little questionable. Most of the time there's a, 3-4 seed that wins a game that they shouldn't. But to me, I could see the Browns and the Chargers winning games that they shouldn't right here. Rather right here and then making it to here. I like the Chargers. I think the Bills defense overall, last year they had one of the most balanced and stacked defenses in the NFL. They're bringing everybody back. They're adding Von Miller, and then they're going to get back Tre'Davious White later on, probably week 3, 4, something like that. And so in the AFC championship game, one of the first in a while not to feature Patrick Mahomes, we are going to see the Ravens beating the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. So the Ravens beating the Bills, this one would have been an amazing matchup to watch last year if both teams made it to the final game of the AFC season healthy. Leading to the Super Bowl of the defending champion Rams versus the Baltimore Ravens. 2 of the best franchises over the last, say 30 years. Both have 2 Super Bowls. Both have pretty low lulls, but they also have very, very high highs. Now, that being said, in this matchup, I think that the Rams' biggest issue is running quarterbacks. They can't defend running quarterbacks. Now, they added Bobby Wagner, and so the run game overall is going to be better, but I think with the two tight end set that Baltimore would run in this game, I think that's going to be a problem guarding the edges for Lamar Jackson to get a lot of first downs. Now, on the other side, the Rams have firepower that I don't think the Ravens can stop. Cooper Kupp, nobody's going to guard Cooper Kupp. And more than that, nobody's going to guard Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is a jump ball receiver. And if he's guarded by, can't even think of the guy's name, Marcus Peters, if he's guarded by Marcus Peters is going to jump on a lot of routes that Allen Robinson is going to jump over him on. Cooper Kupp versus Marlon Humphrey, that's not a question. Marlon Humphrey's not on his level. And the smart play designing of Sean McVay is better than whatever Baltimore has on defense. Now, Baltimore has a new defensive coordinator, Mike Macdonald. He's going to be better. He was the defensive coordinator of the Michigan Wolverines last year, who ended up having a historically good defense. I believe 1, 2, 3, 4 of their starters got drafted into the NFL in the first 3 or 4 rounds. In fact, one of them is on Baltimore. That is David Ojabo, defensive end. So both teams have options to exploit, but to me, although whenever the number 1 defense versus the number 1 offense meet each other in the Super Bowl, the defense has won, I believe, every one of those matchups. In this situation, I don't think either of these teams are going to have the number 1 on either side, defense or offense. They're both going to be very balanced, both leaning towards offense. I have Lamar Jackson taking out the defending Super Bowl champions in what could be one of the most catastrophic events to ever happen to the Baltimore Ravens, because the exact same thing that happened to Joe Flacco, he wanted a contract. The Ravens said, nah. He said, fine, I'll wait. And he went on to have arguably the greatest postseason run a quarterback has ever had, winning Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP. And then they had to pay him a crap ton of money because of that. They had to pay him a lot more money than he would have already had. So the same thing could happen here. Now, I'm a Lamar Jackson supporter because he is an excellent winner. He's a very good quarterback and an overall player. But if it gets to the point where he wins the Super Bowl and wins Super Bowl MVP, the Ravens are going to sorely regret not giving him a contract before, because they are either going to have to far overpay for him or they're not even going to be able to re-sign. But that right there is how I think the season is going to end. Next February, the second Sunday in February, Ravens are going to be beating the Los Angeles Rams. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did I leave your team out? Are you a Tom Brady crybaby saying that Tampa Bay didn't make the playoffs? Well, sorry, they're not going to make it. Are you a Dallas cowgirl crying that your stupid little Cowboys aren't going to be in the playoffs? Well, they're not that good. Are you a Denver fan or a Russell Wilson supporter? Are you a Raiders fan trying to get them in the playoffs? Not going to happen. Not going to make some noise. Sorry to hear it, but let me know why you think your favorite team will, in fact, be doing better than I had them.